The war may have been lost, but the dead were proclaimed as heroes, the struggle itself honoured.
Though the aim for which I fought was not to be achieved, we learnt once and for all to stand for a cause and, if necessary, to fall, as befitted men.
Many Allied memorials spelt out the values felt to be at stake during the war. In the stained glass window in Canterbury University, New Zealand, the Central Powers are depicted as the dragon of brutality and ignorance. The Allied troops have humanity and justice on their side and are naturally victorious. The years after the war were defined by the search for significance in the loss. National symbols like the cenotaph and the unknown warrior helped answer the question in so many people's minds: what did all the suffering mean? In 1920, the body of an unidentified British soldier was exhumed in France and transported home. On the 11th of November, the unknown warrior was brought to Whitehall.
He did not seem an unknown warrior. He was known to us all. He was one of our boys. To some women, he was their own boy, who went missing. To many men wearing ribbons and badges, he was one of their comrades. It was the steel helmet, the old tin hat, lying there on the crimson of the flag, which revealed him instantly.
Herbert Thompson had lost his eyesight in the war. He could not see the proceedings, but he could feel them.
There was ineffable sadness and melancholy, yet a message of inspiration and hope, as if the spirit of the unknown soldier had whispered, "Courage, brother, hope on." I felt with my comrades almost ashamed that I had given so little, while he who was sleeping by us had given all.
Vera Brittain had served in France as a nurse during the war. She lost her fiancé, 2 close friends, her only brother. She went back in 1921.
At Amiens, we stood in the dimness of the once threatened cathedral. We looked up with reminiscent melancholy at the still-bordered stained glass windows smashed by German shells, realizing with sudden surprise that in my own mind the anger and resentment had died long ago, leaving only an everlasting sorrow and a passionate pity.
The First World War had achieved its basic aim of containing German and Austrian militarism, at least for the moment. It moved Europe from the age of empires to the era of nation-states. It gave Eastern European peoples their independence. It gave a sense of national identity to Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. It helped Russia become the world's first communist state and launched America as a world power. The ideas for which men fought have proved lasting: democracy and liberalism, religious faith and nationalism. But the First World War solved few of the grievances over which it was fought. We live with its unresolved consequences in the Middle East, the Balkans, Ireland. It wasn't the war to end all wars, not just because it left dangerous loose ends, but because it bequeathed the world a terrible message. That war can affect change, that war can fulfill ambitions, that war can work. The battlefields were tidied up, or ploughed over, or just abandoned. But they held their grip on the soldiers who'd fought on them, on those who dared go back.
I saw again with a pang of anguish the trenches, damp and muddy, and was surprised to have lived there for 4 years. So moving because of the endless silence, the gloomy, barren, deserted look. Old churches pierced, chipped, ripped open, and barbed wire everywhere. Life resumes. Things remain the same. We're the only ones who have changed.